And so I've always felt for any underdog, anybody who is suffering. And I also understand that you are disempowered in that moment.
And
I was so disappeared. Yeah, disempowered. Oh, yeah.
Because that tone of violence is just in the background and with you all the time. And it fatigues you.
Yeah.
And it's deliberate.
Yes.
And
that day changed the course of my family. And not for the better.
About protecting Western civilization.
So what did you learn today at school?
I learned that I'm Aussie.
Really? We should all be utterly horrified by what took place on the streets of Sydney last night. I was there at the protest last night, and I joined the tens of thousands of people who object to the head of state of a country committing a genocide being welcomed and toured around Australia. I'm sure at this point everybody has seen the horrific acts of aggression by members of New South Wales Police Force against innocent people who were present. I've seen that footage of an elderly man with both hands in the air in a position of surrender being punched, a large group of police pursuing people down the street, chasing them, people who had already dispersed who were trying to leave, police repeatedly punching someone who was already lying on the ground, who'd already been tackled to the ground, with two police towering over him, punching over and over again. And what I saw with my own eyes last night was decision after decision by the police that made everybody there less safe. There were too many people there last night to fit at Town Hall Square. Police asked people to disperse, to turn back into the crowd when there was no way out the other side. Anyone trying to leave was met with a double row of police and mounted police trying to stop them from leaving. It put people at risk. It created a crowd crush. Now, the police also tried to stop people from marching east to Parliament to protest when the event where the Israeli president was present was at the International Convention Centre, which was actually west. So this idea that allowing people to march would have put anybody at risk is just nonsense. The police assaulted people who were there to provide medical attention. One of our parliamentary colleagues was assaulted and injured by the police last night, who was taking on a role as an observer, who was standing to the side, who was trying not actually to get involved in any of the confrontation and was actually filming the encounter. And you can see in that video just how calm, how rational and how reasonable our colleague was in the face of New South Wales Police, and she was assaulted. If that's how the police who were there last night treated somebody who they knew was a member of Parliament while they knew they were being filmed, it's not hard to imagine how they were treating everybody else. The Premier has said that the police were put in an impossible situation last night. Well, Premier, you put them in that situation. You made law after law restricting protest and our democratic freedoms. This violent clash was the inevitable result. Far from reducing the temperature or the social cohesion that the Premier is supposedly seeking, we now have Trump-style authoritarianism on the streets of Sydney. I've lived in other countries where people have been prosecuted for critiquing those in power. And I remember in those moments feeling proud to be Australian, feeling proud of our free democracy. And the government and the police having the power to decide who gets to protest, when, where and how they get to protest will only ever protect those in power. What happened last night has to be independently investigated. Police investigating themselves cannot deliver justice to those who were assaulted, injured or traumatised at the hands of police last night. And the Labor caucus needs to take a good hard look at itself. and the environment they've created in New South Wales by enabling Chris Minns' authoritarian agenda. The best time to reject these anti-protest laws was before they were enacted, and the next best time is now.
Okay, so I'm going to just go. The rising brutality doesn't demand harder fists, but steadier beats, creative defiance built on existing global models. She had a long scarf on and she was literally walking away from all the chaos. And 3 officers came behind her, grabbed her scarf and pulled her back into the scrum, pushed her to the ground and covered her, all 3 of them. She was doing nothing. She was just trying to leave. So I think a good protest as a counter-rhythm is, imagine if all women gathered on the next protest, we all have to turn up with a scarf to honour this woman. Another woman who's a photographer, and she's 69, so she's a pensioner. She was there doing photographs. They also tackled her to the ground. There's less footage of that one. They broke her spine in places.
It's beyond
comprehension for Australia. We have not seen this kind of police brutality. I think we talked about it with Stuart last week, since Vietnam protests. That's how bad we've got. Here we are. What are we? 55 years later, and they're doing the same thing they did 55 years ago. Now, the good news is there were many people who spoke up, ministers who spoke up and senators spoke up against this, and they blamed it purely because those laws had been changed. It gave those police officers permission to be violent. We are a democratic nation. We voted Labor into power because we didn't want what was happening in America to happen here. And so now I feel like the Albanese government is becoming more and more right. The other one that I thought we could do as a counter-rhythm is get elders, they should turn up in high-vis vests to the protest. And have something across there. Elder present.
Yes.
Elder present, thank you.
We do need to be very careful with what our governments are doing. In WA, there is a amendment bill. It's called the Post and Boast bill, and it's trying to stop copycat criminal behaviour. So people will, like a hoon putting something up on their Facebook of them doing something dangerous with their car, whatever. And so they want to clamp down on that. But there's definitely some concerns around how they will use that. And I know there's some pushback from our representatives in WA, which is fantastic to hear, because we need to be really careful about what we're doing, because I know that
there's so much going on in our state, guys, that people even hear, but you hear don't.
Seems like everywhere.
But in particular here for us, we're in a precarious position because of the AUKUS and mining stuff and the deals that have been done that we don't even know about. Laws may license fist, but they can't arrest acquire tempo. So if you're singing, you can't be arrested for that, right? So everybody needs to stay vigilant, be present, continue to talk about things when you see that they are wrong. Labor 2025 landslide promised equity, youth, momentum, artistic renewal. However, a year later, rhetoric veers right, tightened speech laws, AUKUS escalation, and all these are signs that autocracy is creeping into Australia, guys. Wake the fuck up. Get out there and protest. And that's what Grace Tame said. She got attacked. Everyone was requesting that her Australian of the Year be removed. I say give her another one. That was the youth one. Give her the adult one, because what she is doing is so brave and so courageous. And
strength in numbers, everybody. Absolutely,
strength in numbers. That's what it feels like to us. We can do walking vigils. We could copy what they do in Portland. I love what they do in Portland with they call it the inflatable movement. Bring on the inflatable movement down under, guys.
My good friend says, what's the point of it? It's not fun.
I think go home. Fun as a great protest, or
we can't compartmentalise it.
That's why satire works. People can hear it. If you yell at people or you bash people, they're just going to get angry. Humour helps us listen, helps us break the barriers down to have the conversation. You guys can go to the article on Substack, and that, because there's been such a defunding of the arts in many countries. But that's okay. We'll pivot, we'll fund ourselves, we're quite familiar with that, and this is the way StudioZer0 are choosing to do that. So if you get onto the Patreon account, join. I think what's the smallest subscription?
I think it's $4.50, and that's Australian dollars, not American dollars.
Welcome to Beyond Survival, everybody. A place where we're gathering artists, thinkers, intentional souls, and people choosing depth over noise, care over speed, and honesty over whatever the fuck is going on up in the higher echelons of our society. Whatever the fuck is going on. And now we know too much about what's going on.
No. Apparently, when the Epstein files said, follow the money, and my dad used to say,
follow
whenever
the money.
You want to know something, just follow the money. I just think it was just one of those sayings that like caught on and it was easy to say and everybody said it. But turns out a lot of these conspiracy theories are true. And what are they doing? They're following the money. When you follow the money, where does it all lead through the Epstein files, Geraldine? Where does it lead back to?
Do I really have to say it?
Yeah, you got to say it. You got to say it. You were shocked.
I guess I'm not. Yeah. I'm going to thank everyone for coming in for the long form conversation, because that's what we're really doing. And I know that we are hearing a lot about the Epstein files, and obviously there's a lot that is now conspiratorial. There's a lot of AI images that are not accurate, but unfortunately the stuff that is accurate is beyond description, beyond comprehension. Yeah. So what do you think is the main, when I say that, where does the money leave? Where did it end up leading to? All roads led to where? Say it. Oh, I'm going to say to our own personal awakening, because that's... Okay, that's a very polite way. Well, no, I know what Kelly's saying is too much of this is leading back to Israel and a group of people trying to control a handful of each and every one of us. This is not the Israeli people. This is not the Jewish people. This is a small handful of people who are controlling the political space, not just in Israel, but in America, all over the place. Somehow they've all been connecting and talking, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations have been had that what you're watching play out now and what's happening with Iran and everything. And yes, it's good that the regime has been taken out, but you know what? There's another one just right there ready to take over again. So I hope it's not another story, but I suspect it will be. And I probably, because I do like to talk on the micro, because I think there is obviously a lot of corruption, and it's rot from the top, and there is the sort of the fallout is that there are spin doctors still that are going to try and perpetuate what is obviously an absolute crimes against humanity. But on the micro level, I see it as that control is trying to erode our sense of security, our sense of self, our sense of our innocence. There's a lot of attack on children. There's a lot of lives being lost even right now with the Israel-US attack on Iran. Mm-hmm. And that was they were the first casualties to go into not just to bomb a school, but to actually bomb the first responders as well. But we've seen this repeat over and over in Gaza. We've seen this repeat now. It's just escalated in the West Bank, and we're seeing such incredible devastation of whole communities through Sudan, and there's quite a few places that are being devastated, absolutely devastated. And it's too much. It's too much for any of us to really grasp, and that's why when you say, and where's it coming from? Because I truly think that it is up to each and every one of us. It's like we're all it's really coming down to our personal. It's a wake-up call for communities. It's a wake-up call for countries. That situation in Gaza has been banging on our door for quite a long time, a lot longer than I've not been aware of it for 30 years. And I told you about this morning. I think, look, Geraldine, as you all know, been a lot more invested in what's been going on in Gaza for a long time, many years. Mine has been more Ukraine. So I always turn to her to say, she goes, I've been trying to tell you that. I said, yeah, but it's not till you see it yourself or you witness it yourself that you go, oh my God, that's real. Because you always think when someone's passionate about something, watching, you're hearing half of it. You do tune out a little bit, sort of thing. Until you digest it yourself, seeing that Carson Tucker interview the American ambassador for Israel, who just outright said, it is promised in the Bible that the Middle East is ours and that is what we're going to take. Pretty much they were his words. I've paraphrased it, but
And I just went, did I just hear that? And to his credit, because I don't particularly like Tucker Carlson, he did push back.
Yes, yeah.
He did push back. But when you see that, and they laugh about it, they don't care about humanity in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
All they care about is the power over being where God protects us.
Yeah.
We're more important than you.
So
You know?
I remember I told you I read the Bible when I was 12. I'll go into a bit of a personal story.
Yeah, God.
And so I did ask my Sunday school leaders, who are reasonably young, and I did ask them who wrote the Bible, and they got a awkward laugh back. They weren't really prepared to answer.
Yeah.
Really, that was my first wake-up call, actually. If they don't have the answers, then why are we
they
learning
mentioned
this?
to me?
Yeah. But I also was a little bit, for a young kid, anyway, I was a little bit scholarly in a way about things. I like to read a lot, and I wanted to know, and so I did. So I went and invested. But I remember when I was about 15, and this is why I'm telling this story, is that a lot of horrible things happened in my family home when I was 15. So, but the counter to that, because my family's beautiful, but it was just some really, it was falling apart. It was falling apart. But the counter to this is I literally woke up. This is confessional, but I literally woke up and I thought, oh my God, there's the expression, oh my God, there's people invested in Armageddon. I literally woke up as a 15-year-old and I just realised that there was a huge amount of people, and it actually shocked the hell out of me. It shocked the hell out of me because I felt despair.
That's
actually.
what I felt like these national Christians.
Because
all these extreme right that use religion as a excuse for their heinous act, they always move back to that, and that's been going on for thousands of years, guys. But the way they do it, I guess, is, and the thing is, I think all they keep talking about is the apocalypse.
Yeah, the apocalypse.
The time is coming, the reckoning. Now, it's
aware.
definitely a reckoning on the planet,
yeah.
but I think it's more about humanity. I think it's more about who do we want to be as we move forward. And we many times over, and I think what you're saying there with that counter rhythm in your own family and why it's important to do the individual, we always come back to, first you have to do your own work. It starts with the individual.
Yeah.
That in turn changes the collective. So the more and more people do the business with themselves, whatever checks and balances you want to do yourself, I see that more as the reckoning. That reckoning has been pushed onto us over this next, like the last, really since 2016, where it was visible to most people, and it hasn't stopped. It's kept going and kept going, and I feel like the message is, if you want to use the word reckoning, which is biblical terms really, and I'm not saying with planetary alignments or all those things that's not all true. There's many things can be true at the same time, but it still comes back to your own story, your own individual thing.
Yeah.
I don't care what you believe in or what your political bent is. I really don't care. It comes down still, who do you want to be as a human being? Do you want to be a person who loves and enjoys life and lives into joy and lives a good life? You can live a good life without doing all the fucked up things that these billionaires do, right?
Just be a decent human.
And it's always about power over.
But I guess that we're really, I'll go a little bit into what happened in my family. And so this is quite a long time ago, but where my mum wanted to separate from my father. And my father was fairly religious, and I don't think it sat well with him. It's rejection for a start, isn't it? If someone says, I don't want to be with you anymore. So my mum gave him, so that happened when I was 14, so it's just started high school. And then so my mum gave him a year's grace to change things, to turn things around. And obviously he didn't do it, no. And the patterns were repeated basically. And it was an interesting time where women, I'm talking early 80s, it was at a time when women did actually have some social security net basically to be able to be a single parent, and there wasn't, as it was stigmatized, but it was just coming through as, okay, I can survive, I can raise children without the other parent in the house basically, so people could actually separate without it being as cumbersome. And governments had started to make a provisional payment for single parents. And
it was a big change in that culture.
Yeah.
it allowed women who were in difficult situations and couldn't leave because of financial kind of economic reliance on the husbands. And in those days, the laws, I think, were still women, husbands could rape their wives and it wasn't illegal. But anyway, things changed, and as you say, much further down the track, it was having the single mother's pension there gave them the ability to leave if they needed to or wanted to. And
very hard to do this, because in actual fact what was happening, and it was that there were men killing their families at that time as well. So there was obviously a lot of backlash and a lot of domestic violence. And I know that was played on my mum's mind, that was a potential. They had some volatile times. 6, yeah, so it's a large family. I'm in a very large family.
And you're the oldest.
And I'm the eldest,
Big responsibility.
I know. Lots to wear. Yeah. But unfortunately, my dad decided to give my mum a lesson before he left the house. Yeah. So that was devastating.
You're okay, Geraldine?
I am okay.
But it's visceral.
It's visceral, yeah. So I was telling Kelly this story for the first time the other day, and I was surprised that I still had tears for it. But I guess
we talk about things that we store on the shelf, we still have to deal with them.
Exactly, yeah. And I know that it's not an uncommon thing in families, actually.
Unfortunately, it's still going on.
So, but it's a deeply shameful thing. It's not something you talk.
No, it's not like you got.
Here I am talking about it, and you can put it in or not. You can take it in. But I'm saying that because my dad wasn't all bad, but it was such a horrific act. He basically bashed my mum.
Yeah. And
wouldn't let her go to hospital because of there was that whole sort of thing of the shame of my wife leaving me, and instead of doing it in an emotionally regulated,
at that time still,
he was in the Salvation Army.
That would have been shame there.
It would have been shameful in his church and in his community, and my mum absolutely had thought about it very thoroughly. She wasn't doing this on a whim. It was something that she'd gone to family members to talk through this. She had family members, some try to convince her to stay. It wasn't an easy decision, and it could have been very different.
Fear, wasn't there, in that time and often the women would gather around, we'll support you, we'll look after you, because they didn't want to break up the community. Yeah. There was that big thing that divorce was so shameful in many ways still at that time. And so other women. It's a bit like the conversation that we had with
He's doing it again. I'm moving you over.
Park. Why, with abuse, why don't they just leave? She said, I can understand babies and the children and older women, they're powerless to walk away from it. But we were talking about the Epstein files, and she was saying, they're 14, 15, 16, they have the power to leave. That's not true. That is not how it works. If you're already in a vulnerable position, many of those girls came from lower economic status or off the streets, in the case of Virginia Giuffre, and then she finally returned to her father, who was also an abuser, lived in a caravan at the back, and she got clean, and she took the job at Mar-a-Lago as the towel girl, and then she was, of course, as we all know, groomed and coerced by Ghislaine Maxwell. And nobody did anything, including Trump, did anything about it. So he was aware of it, and she was aware. But then why, if you're aware, why wouldn't you just, if you were so upset about him stealing Virginia Giuffre and others, take her back to Mar-a-Lago. Just say, I'm taking her back. You don't get a say in it. But what her and many people think, they can't understand why, if you're an adult woman, and even these 14 to 18, many people think this way, just walk away. Why don't you just leave? But it's not that simple.
I'll come back to my story because I'm sure that my dad did that so that she didn't leave him.
Yes, of course.
But what sort of strange
emotional manipulation that they have,
and,
right?
Yeah, and
when
to
they say,
try and control.
No, you're ugly, no one will ever love you. And if you're already fatigued, and this is what this whole movement, mega movement's about, if we keep them fatigued, they won't be able to stand up against us. And that's why counter-rhythms, doing peaceful protests and finding joyful and artistic ways, creative ways of fighting back, but quietly, gently, lovingly.
Yeah, and this is I'd say this is a fairly common tactic. I don't know that my dad really deliberated on what happened that day in my family home. I don't think that was necessarily.
Do you think he wiped it out?
I don't think what I'm saying is I don't know that it was premeditated. I did get to talk to my dad about it. He wasn't very mature in his response, but I did get to tell him how much deep impact that had on me and the family, the children. But I will confide that we didn't have many locked doors in our house, and he closed the door, and it wasn't a lockable door, told us that we couldn't come out, and we heard him beat my mum up.
So you're all traumatised by that. You carry that trauma. You still carry that trauma.
Yep.
We know what trauma does if we don't deal with the trauma.
Yeah,
Trauma
exactly.
attracts more trauma.
Yeah.
It's like a magnet. It's like a freaking magnet.
Yeah, yeah. So I have seen my family suffer from that, and probably the thing about that is that at any one time we could have opened the door. I don't think it was locked. I'm pretty sure they weren't locked. That wasn't a lockable door.
But when your father,
and there was a window there.
Your father, who's an authoritarian
yes,
in the house, and especially in that time frame, children were to be seen and not heard. That was what.
There was a bit of that mentality there, yes. Yeah.
And so you are trained not to speak up. You are trained not to speak up against your father.
No, that's right.
Because he's the head of the house. That's the Christian, right?
Yeah.
And I think even if you weren't a practicing, like we were not a religious household, but that was still the rules. Mm. It's my house. I'm the head of the house, kind of thing. And that didn't change for us until Dad saw the landscape changing, and he thought, he had 3 daughters. My daughters are going to have to go out there and be in the world. I'm going to show them how. And he changed and he pivoted. But not many men did from that generation. Not many did.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's
it took the next generation to come through before you saw the change.
Exactly. So there's a lot of personal cost and a lot of shame around being in that what really was an abuse of power.
Yeah.
And so I've always felt for any underdog, anybody who is suffering. And I also understand that you are disempowered in that moment.
And
I was so disappeared. Yeah, disempowered. Oh, yeah.
Because that tone of violence is just in the background and with you all the time. And it fatigues you. Yeah. And it's deliberate.
Yes. That day changed the course of my family, and not for the better.
No.
And my mum is an incredibly strong.
All your siblings are carrying as well.
Yes, exactly. And I'd love to have some sort of family counselling, but we're all mature, older people now.
And everybody's taking their own pathways.
Yeah.
By the way, I just have to say, I know it's irrelevant, but I'll cut it out if necessary. With a beautiful kookaburra. The house was in complete darkness, and for 16, obviously it wasn't this morning, but for a good 8 hours it's in complete blackness. But in the morning, I always get kookaburras on the tree outside my balcony, and and I went, that just feels nice to hear the kookaburras this morning. Sorry, and then there's just a kookaburra that's randomly come up on the TV screen, and it just reminded me of another counter in my morning ritual counter. And
I guess this is why I'm not. It's a really giant leap to say that I relate, but I certainly have empathy for anyone who's been in an abusive situation.
Same.
And I've known people in far worse situations as well. That was not a good situation.
Look at all the women around us that we know that
separating
but also have either encountered physical abuse or rape, or whether as a child, financially, just in our own circle, it's so prevalent. And in our circle, of course, we're either late baby boomers like I am, 63, or like Geraldine and Stephanie and my sister,
a little bit younger,
are Gen X. I was thinking about that when you were talking
something's
about
happened to that. I don't know if just Steph, I just need to cancel.
All right.
So we have very
serious. A chance to gather ourselves really after the emotional kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's it's not just a lone story, right?
But and I respect people who turn the telly off and turn the radio off and don't listen to news. I actually respect that.
It is nice to have a break from that.
So, but the people who do tune into News Daily or on social media and listening to it, it's fun, a little bit secondhand. It is I'm going to say it is such an assault on the senses. So I think it's a time for us to be more mindful. They're good at me.
So good.
More mindful, more considerate, more understanding that people have been through and have their own stories as well on top of everything. And so those layers of what we're seeing coming through We do need some more self-care. We've talked about self-care in our previous episodes. And we need to, look, you don't actually have to do anything. But I think that what I'm trying to say is find your own space in this and find your voice, and use it as empowerment rather in disempowering.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that my story probably will trigger some people, and love to everybody, because I know that everyone's been through things that are uncomfortable.
Everyone has some story of trauma, don't they, to talk about? Which is really sad when you think about it in lots of ways, that almost every soul on the planet has a story of trauma they can tell. And I think it's a fruitless exercise to compare one to the other. Trauma is trauma, regardless.
Comparison,
and also your burden might feel bigger than someone else who goes,
not working again. It's just,
I think,
do we want to...
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
We've got this anyway.
It doesn't matter. We've got this. And
we've got this, Kelly. We've got this.
We've got this. So, again, it's not about comparing. I think we often look at all different kinds of trauma and we compare one with the other, and but yours was so much worse than mine, or someone else saying, no, you don't know what I'm talking about because you haven't experienced my situation was far worse. And that's really not helpful language, because everybody's trauma or burden to carry is theirs. And I know that's an old schooly one, but it is still true. It is still true.
Yep.
And so be mindful of that, everyone, of everybody else's stories.
I'm sharing something that happened 40 years ago and
Yeah,
still has an impact on me.
Still has an impact.
So I understand that.
And had an
but
impact even on me and Steph just in that moment. We were feeling your pain in that.
Yes, and you probably drew on your own experience.
Your own experiences.
And that's a shared experience. So, and thank you for listening, basically. But it's also, I also thought about that time in my life where my siblings were absolutely paramount to me. But I went to school. It was my friendship circle that was, and I don't think I've shared that, of course, to anyone in my school. But I just had such a great school experience that was a counter to, I guess, some of the negatives that were. It really was a breaking down of a family, basically. Yeah. For me, my friendship circle was so critical in that time.
Story in that time. It really was a transitional generation.
Yeah.
Because we weren't baby boomers, but we had some of that mentality that was ingrained in us. Of course, it's normal, that osmosis that kind of gets in. And then you had a lot of people who were broken, a lot of addiction problems, a lot of divorces, even after 20, 30 years. You had the whole superwoman syndrome happening of I can do both at the same time. And it wasn't until the millennials came along that I feel you saw a healthier version of egalitarian stuff. We seem to have done another reversal of the women are out there being hugely powerful, but the Gen Z men are hiding in their bedrooms. So it's really, you have to look at those.
Circle. It's a response to the imbalance of our systems, and I know I shared that article by Vandana Shiva, the ecological activist, and she's talking about Bill Gates and how he's.
Yeah, I posted just to retract it.
You did, yes,
I read it and retracted it.
And she's all about addressing the balance on an ecological as well as on community, and she's quite an incredible power force of intellect and reason, and she's the heart and mind person, but she's talking about Bill Gates garnering, and under the pretense that he's saving the world, he's actually garnering the resources, the seed resources of the world for his own purposes, under the pretense of saving the world. And it's a patriarchal mentality to think that by taking all the resources that he's going to save the planet. I'm sorry, we both follow Bill Gates I know on social media, thinking yes, he's got some pretty interesting ideas, but it's a really outdated baby boomer. Sorry, baby boomers, you're getting the rap, but it's also that you've been probably part of the imbalanced system, and that thinks that you need to control and that men need to be controlling, and it's overreach, isn't it? Yeah. And not understanding that the empowerment
they really do believe that doing good work.
Yeah,
because
right. I assume so.
That generation, that baby boomer mentality is still very strong within of the way I help or the way I serve is by controlling the space and not trusting that others have also the ability to share that space with you and also be equal leader within it with you. And they only recognise people who think the same as what they do, rather than recognising those who may think. It was what Dr. Ali Sumners was talking about last week, about the thinking space and thinking more laterally, approaching all of these situations from a more creative lateral space.
Yep.
And they don't and won't, some won't, but those, I think it's also almost like a lack of education within them somehow too.
Also with Stuart Reid last week, talking about co-design.
Yeah.
Now that seems like a very rational approach to things, but it's not obviously being done enough.
Yeah.
And
maybe it's where we're going.
Yeah.
Maybe all these things is, but it's interesting again, what made us aware of the story you're just telling now about Bill Gates. I think most people had put Bill Gates in the safe seat, but there he was in the Epstein files and had 2 Russian models trafficked to him. And
his story is he was led astray, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, where's your personal responsibility?
Situations. Again, it's that old thinking, baby boomer style thinking. Always have to control the space, and that's the narrative that we're seeing.
But it's almost, it's okay. It's okay. I had a couple of affairs. It's okay. No, and follow the money again.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. But then beyond that, it's follow the money again. And there's, as we're finding, there's a lot of money being laundered.
Well, this is because we've realised that the Epstein files are far more than just Epstein himself. They are a complete multi-ecosystem in the most heinous way that has been going on for 40 years, and the connections are just mind-blowing.
So it's not until there is justice, fairness, equity, decency, when that really reigns on this planet and people get it, that we can actually share resources, that we can actually be different, that diversity is actually a very natural state of being. We're not the same. And what are the other good qualities? Let's name all the good qualities, because that's what we should be aiming for, and we can aim for. The other thing is,
I feel like we're not going to talk about the Epstein files.
No, we are.
We kind of are. We're making a reference to it, but we're not. Not doing the deeper dive.
I think we are doing the deeper dive.
No, we're not. We're not getting to any of that.
No, I hear what Geraldine's trying to say.
Yeah. But
We're not just doing the facts. You're talking about the emotional outfall, like Carney talks about the rupture. This is the rupture.
Yep.
Others will call it the reckoning, but actually he calls it correctly so. He calls it the cultural rupture, and it is.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from it. It's gone. It's finished, guys.
Yep.
We've got to move forward. We've got to find what our new normal is.
Yeah.
Because it will never be the same again. And as long as you hold on to nostalgia, we know what happens with that. It's not a good look for anyone on a personal level or on a collective level. So I get what Geraldine's saying, even though we're not directly talking about facts and figures or quoting things that happened at deposition with the Clintons and things like that. Maybe that's okay.
And how are we allowed to
maybe us talking about
we're doing the counter rhythm.
We're doing the counter rhythm. We're talking about more the emotional, cultural kind of shift, personal responsibility. What can we do? What can we do to be the counter rhythm in a physical way during protests, or even as an artist, or write a song, whatever? There's just so many ways. Because you see a lot of that being posted on Substack, which is awesome. Also to their credit, on Instagram as well. But I don't know.
It's just wishful thinking that this shadow government's just going to go away, that the leadership is going to suddenly miraculously actually lead.
There's no returning from
the planet for better. There's definitely a void that's being created, but it's as I said, it's almost like a massacre on the sensory, and it's definitely a breakdown of everything that we know. And that's very clear
but
to me.
You can't build something new until you allow. It's a bit of the skeleton woman story, really, isn't it? From a woman who runs with the wolves.
Yeah.
If we don't step out of our own way, allow all of that which we had revered and thought was the answer, we have to let that fall. Because whether you like it or not, it's falling anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
So you can either go with that rhythm of, okay, we understand it's falling, what's the counter rhythm? Where are we going? What's our new normal? I want to have that conversation. So maybe in a strange way it's good that we haven't presented facts and figures and things about the Epstein stuff. Maybe the real conversation is the one we're having right now. That's perhaps more important.
Yeah.
And you know, guys, I'll write an article about it, okay? And so for those of you who are looking for a more sort of academic approach to it, I always give it a creative bent anyway. I'll write, this week I'll write an article about that, which we were going to talk about today, because I actually think I've quite enjoyed the conversation that we've had today on a more reflective, okay, so how can we do this differently? And understanding there's no God. I love that saying that Katrina says, no backsies.
No Maxies.
No backsies.
Oh, no Baxies.
No backsies.
I was going to say, why can't I wear my maxi dress? I love my maxis.
You can wear your maxi dress as much as you like. The point is with fashion now, you can wear whatever you like, from whatever decade you want to wear it from. I love that too.
Yeah, no Baxies.
Everybody can just be themselves. Whatever works for you, it works also on a greater scale. And I think that applies right across the board. But we're not going back, guys, in any shape or form. And even Kamala Harris, one of her slogans was, "We're not going back." She was making a reference to 2016 and 20, obviously the Trump administration, the first one. But really, if we look at what that really means, we're not going back. Of course we're not going back. We always have to move forward, right? We take the lessons of the past, we tuck them into our little pockets, and we say, okay, how can we do this differently? How can we be better? How can we do better? That's the questions that we should be asking. Because no matter, and now because it's on a political stage, we usually do that in the personal space. This is where the personal meets the public space. And now you have politicians saying, especially Khan, if you listen to him, and Jacinta Ardern, and even Gillard, and people like that, they get it. They've got it for a long time. They've known this for a long time. It's what I feel. And so when they speak about, we really have to understand what's happening here, there is no going back to what was. So we need to let it go so that we can rebuild something new, something better. Take all the cautionary tales with us and be better.
So in a way, we have an opportunity to reset.
Absolutely.
And I guess what we concern everyone, the fear is obviously that in that void there will be the more authoritarian forces. I love,
and if we allow it.
Yes, and that's why I love the concept, and that peace is not something that you choose. Peace is actually something you remember. And so, as someone who does meditate, it's always been present.
It's always been present. It didn't disappear, guys. It doesn't have a non-existence just because we don't acknowledge it. It's always been there.
So in my, I guess, meditation practice, and I do some Qigong as well, is whatever's going to work for you. Qigong is really always about coming back to your centre, and you feel that inner peace. So that's actually that is our natural state.
Yeah. I must have known something. I told you the story, didn't I, about when I did the Phoenix seminar, which is a business seminar I did in my 20s. I was the state manager in Victoria, and I had to go up to Sydney for meetings, which I didn't particularly like. I used to fly out. Anyway.
You have told this story, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I won't tell it again because
more resonance,
really season 1 early episodes.
True.
Anyway, I went to this Phoenix seminar.
She'll tell it differently anyway.
It was the old kind of 80s days of and everybody had that rhetoric of, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to make $1 million by the time I'm this age. That was everybody's, if you were in the commerce world. And some people were. And anyway, so we did the 3-day seminar, which was quite grueling and stuff. It was like an elevation of the Dale Carnegie kind of times. And then we had this whole questionnaire thing that we had to answer at the end. It was just all the staff, all the state managers. So it was only about, I don't know, 8 or 9 of us. And everybody had to take their turn reading what they had written. And to get cut to the core of it, the final sort of thing you had to say is what it is that you want to achieve from this course, and also in your life, what was your main driving force. Anyway, we got to about 3 or 4. I was number 5, I think. And they all did the $1 million thing. Make $1 million by this time, maybe I'll be a multi-millionaire by 30, and so on and so forth. And then I looked up at the guy, the facilitator, and said, I think I misunderstood the question. And he said, doesn't matter, just read what you've got. And I said, just one word. I said, the question was, what do you want to achieve in the future? And now, starting from now, and I said, peace. So I knew something in my 20s that I didn't really understand in my 20s, but some part of me must have already been feeling into the future of what is it that I want for my life? I wasn't interested in money. I've never really been interested. But I've also been privileged, so I haven't had to worry about it as others have. But I have focused more my whole life. Whatever I do, it's always, when I look back in hindsight now, yeah, I'm still chasing that piece. That's the goal for me. And now I'm beginning to learn, as we were just saying, I don't have to chase it, it's already there. It just is.
Yeah, just feel it.
It just is. I am that I am. It just is.
That's what I mean, that you remember.
You don't have to find it. You don't have to chase it. You just have to sit.
But we've all been there.
We've
all done the chase. We've all done the journey, and I mean, it's part of it.
About that, no.
It's part of living, isn't it?
Every time when I eat fresh cream,
I
have a hay fever style reaction to it.
Yeah,
So apologies in advance, because everything we use here is whole ingredients. So I shouldn't really have as much dairy as I do, but I do love it. I don't know. What do you reckon, Geraldine? I reckon we could. Is there anything you want to clarify more?
I just read a little bit about the Icelandic women.
I want to hear that story.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to tell this story, but in 1975,
Yes.
the Icelandic women had a Women's Day off. I love this idea.
Yeah.
Where they didn't take children to school, they didn't go to work, they
didn't cook the
family meal, they didn't do whatever they normally do.
Yeah.
They had a Women's Day off, and it transformed their society.
Yeah.
I mean, men could have a day off as well, and it probably would be transformative as well. But evidently, it
has power.
Yeah, it has power.
Yeah, maybe we can add that to Carl's desire to have a handwritten letter day.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he said he wants it to be a national holiday.
Oh, no, I think you said it. I think you took it to that level.
No, I didn't. It was him. I said to him, I was just talking about we can all do a handwritten letter, and you went on about
no one's doing longhand anymore.
No one can write runny writing anymore, Carl. No. I said, don't be ridiculous, Georgia. She said, I'm in education, you're not. I'm telling kids don't know how to write anymore. And
well, they can do it.
I guess that's language, isn't it? Like, I don't know how to read or write Sanskrit either. Things move on and change. But then Carl had the idea of let's all write an open letter. He does open letters to the Parliament because he's a policy writer. He was a policy writer.
I don't know if he does it all the time, actually. I think that was quite a big thing for him to do that open letter.
It was because obviously closes the door on any further policy writing work, really. But no, he said he had done several before, I think. Then he came up with the idea. Then we were just talking. I just thought he meant as an exercise, a one-off kind of protest to get everybody to handwrite it. And I was saying, you don't even need to send it to Parliament as such in a physical form. You can handwrite it, film yourself handwriting it, and then send it to the social media. But also, we have a place in our political system, where you can send these things where they registered and somebody will read them, but they'll get instructions. And then he said, go back and video, and I only remember this because of the editing.
Because you watch it, so
I have to watch it like 7 times or something, over and over. And then
we watch it, but she watches it over and over.
A national day for us. That's a whole nother story. It might take a bit longer to create that because that's literally almost like a referendum. We know how well they don't go in that country.
Initiating a new national day.
Yeah, initiating a new national day of letter writing might be a little bit more of a project, Carl, but I did laugh. And I do feel what you're saying here is what these women did without permission. They just decided to do it. It is easier. I don't know how many people, what's the population of Iceland?
I don't know.
Be interesting to know.
It's not a...
Sorry, what was that?
What's the population of Iceland?
Oh, don't know.
Or the women population. Can you look it up for me? Because it is obviously I'm pretty sure that Greenland is only 58,000 people, right? So there'd be many who know each other.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be many who wouldn't be connected.
Well, I was just thinking Bjork was probably born just around that.
So just under 200,000 women in Iceland. So them gathering together and having a day off is good, but it's still a substantial amount of people to organise. What's the population of women in Australia, Stephanie?
I was just thinking Bjork would have been born around that time.
Did you see her when she came here?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
She got criticised, but I loved it. I said, listen up, guys. She's moving into our camp. You go, girl. You do your installation.
I think it left a lot of people perplexed.
Yeah, because I was a bit perplexed
there
was a whole culture of Bjork followers that we're expecting her to be doing the same thing she did 30 years ago.
No, I
Doesn't
didn't.
work
I
like that,
definitely
fellas.
didn't.
If you're a real true creative, sorry, it changes and you morph.
And that's why I was
You elevate.
mentioning her, because she would have been, her upbringing would have been influenced by this Women's Day Off.
When
And
did
she
this
is
happen
the most
again? What was
incredible
the- what was the year?
1975.
Oh,
wasn't it
of course,
such-
women's time. It's perfect women's
I know,
movement.
and I was just thinking that she's an incredible creative collaborator, and obviously
13.59 million females compared to 13.38 million males.
well,
So it might be a little harder to rally 13 million women in Australia, but
it would stop.
anything's
yeah.
possible. Anything's possible. Maybe somehow we can let's do a letter day, a handwritten letter day, National Day, and on that day, all women shall have a day off.
Stay home to write their letters.
Do whatever you stay home to write the letters, go to the park and write the letter.
I love it.
But you, honestly, the ecosystem collapse when women say, I'm having a day off. It's huge.
Yeah.
That's a wake-up call.
Yes. Now, Richard Hames.
Love our Richard Hames.
Love you. Love his
I
writing.
just read him this morning.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't read it last night.
It's incredible, his
I couldn't
output.
read it last night because I had no internet or anything.
Love to encourage people to read, and I haven't got the title of the article, but his article, which is very much a incredible plan for us to devolve from fossil fuels and to move the ship of our economy towards a sustainable world. And he's a very collaborative mind.
So good.
But it's a blueprint for us to change this planet
He's written
overnight.
a lot of blueprints.
And he's not.
Every day this guy
He's
writes.
a blueprint.
Just,
yeah.
Every time I read, I can't read them every day. You all know that. I've said that to Geraldine many times. She's very brave, much braver soul with that stuff than I am. And because otherwise I just carry it all day, because his way of seeing is so profound that you just think about it all day. You read one of his articles and you just go over it and over it. It's layer upon layer, and you're still trying to understand it when you're going to bed. Now what? Let me go back and look at that again.
We'll maybe have to put the title of an article in, because
I'll put it in the readings.
He genuinely has a way forward, allowing for all systems, and he understands the systems in our world. So he's talking about working from within the systems. No overthrow, just a change, a plan, lateral thinking, collaborative thinking, like our Dr. Ali Sumner, co-designing, like our wonderful Stuart.
And nothing's perfect, by the way, guys.
And
when you read things and you get excited about different sort of ideas and possibilities of as we move forward, how it could be, of course it's different for everybody, but at the same, nothing's set in stone. That's the first thing. Everything is always, it should be in a state of constant movement and change, I believe. These people are just a little bit ahead of the game, I feel, because they can already see and predict a little bit into the future within these layers, while we're possibly still doing this. But I think
he talks to a lot of people.
I think so. And I think regardless of whether you...
So he's getting information from all different sources.
Get it all, is what I'm trying to say. It's like looking at art. It's another form of art. When writing that is so good like he is, it's about looking through the lens of an artist's eyes. You have to look in that lateral thinking like Dr. Ali Sumner talks about.
And he also talks about embracing diversity, like Carl Gopal does.
Of course. We've had some great guests.
We have amazing.
We have. It's wonderful.
So thank you to all of our guests.
Thank you to all our beautiful guests. You give us food for fodder,
yes.
like we can weigh our way through it, sort of thing.
And our courageous Tinica, who's really worked with amazing
did you
communities.
See the title I gave that episode? The Light of Tinica.
Oh, the Light of Tinica.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Because that's when I see her, I feel light.
True.
I just feel light emanating. So I feel like going, ah. She's just this little angel just walking around the earth, and but I love that she's also highly intelligent, and she thinks about things too, and
pragmatic.
She cares about things. She's pragmatic, and she just knows how to play both sides of the story, and I love that, because that's a little bit my story as well. But I think she does it better than me.
Let's not compare.
No,
we've all got different qualities.
But I look to her. I guess you look to learn from people, right?
Yeah.
And I look to her and I go, I hadn't quite thought of it in that way.
Very much a incredible plan for us to devolve from fossil fuels and to move the ship of our economy towards a sustainable world. And he's a very collaborative mind.
So good.
But it's a blueprint for us to change this planet overnight.
Blueprints.
And he's not...
Every day this guy
He's
writes,
a blueprint.
and every time I read, I can't read them every day. You all know that. I've said that to Geraldine many times. She's very brave, much braver soul with that stuff than I am. And because otherwise I just carry it all day, because his way of seeing is so profound that you just think about it all day. You read one of his articles and you just go over it and over it. It's layer upon layer, and you're still trying to understand it when you go into bed. Now what? Let me go back and look at that again.
We'll maybe have to put the title of an article in, because
I'll put it in the readings.
He genuinely has a way forward, allowing for all systems, and he understands the systems in our world. So he's talking about working from within the systems. No overthrow, just a change, a plan, lateral thinking, collaborative thinking, like our Dr. Ali Sumner, co-designing, like our wonderful Stuart.
And nothing's perfect, by the way, guys.
And
when you read things and you get excited about different sort of ideas and possibilities of as we move forward, how it could be, of course it's different for everybody, but at the same, nothing's set in stone. That's the first thing. Everything is always, it should be in a state of constant movement and change, I believe. These people are just a little bit ahead of the game, I feel, because they can already see and predict a little bit into the future within these layers, while we're possibly still doing this. But I think he talks to a lot of people. I think so. And I think regardless of whether you...
So he's getting information from all different sources.
Get it all, is what I'm trying to say. It's like looking at art. It's another form of art. When writing that is so good like he is, it's about looking through the lens of an artist's eyes. You have to look in that lateral thinking like Dr. Ali Sumner talks about.
And he also talks about embracing diversity, like Carl
Gopal
does.
Of course. We've had some great guests.
We have amazing.
We have. It's wonderful.
So thank you to all of our guests.
Thank you to all our beautiful guests. You give us food for fodder, like we can weigh our way through it, sort of thing.
And our courageous Tinika, who's really worked with amazing
did you
communities.
See the title I gave that episode? The Light of Tinika.
Oh, the Light of Tinika. Yeah. How beautiful.
Because that's, when I see her, I feel light.
True.
I just feel light, emanating. So I feel like going, She's just this little angel just walking around the earth. And but I love that she's also highly intelligent, and she thinks about things too.
She's pragmatic.
She cares about things. She's pragmatic, and she just knows how to play both sides of the story, and I love that. Because that's a little bit my story as well, but I think she does it better than me.
Let's not compare.
No,
we've all got
true,
different qualities.
True, I look to her. I guess you look to learn from people, right?
Yeah. And
I look to her and I go, I hadn't quite thought of it in that way. That's a good point.
And you're doing an amazing job editing. Our amazing editor, Kelli, a job that I certainly couldn't have. The incredible patience she has with our technological world.
Do it in a day, guys. That's the truth. I could use AI and do it in a day, but I'm old school, I guess, in that way. I have to read through it over a period of 3 or 4 days, several times over, cut and paste here and there, and find the flow and find the thread. To me, it's like an artwork, really. I do the same thing.
It comes across, Kel. It does come across.
I'm glad.
It does to me, anyway.
I hope and wish that for everybody's thinking, that when you look at these things, look at them through the lens of creativity, like an artist would. Look for the nuances, look for the spaces in between, look for the malleability of it all. Just look outside the box with it. Approach it from bird's eye view, outside the box, come into the centre, and then you've got to do a bit of a
pivot.
Lots of pivots. But you also have to do a mash-up of it.
Oh, yes. Okay.
By the time you've done the dance with all the kind of different lenses, you're then looking for that. I do a mash-up of that. How do I put that together so that we've got a good counter rhythm?
Yes. How do we get to the essence of the matter?
You know what I was thinking about the other day? Just talking about essence.
Life essence. I don't know. What was our word?
No, I was doing research on how, because how we talked about last season, when you coined the phrase essence of being. That's right. And we had said it before, but what it meant, when we decided we've got to make an oil, because I've used rose oil on my face since I was about 16. I always made my own oil. And then Geraldine and I were having a conversation. I said, yeah, I could mix it up do a limited edition of it or whatever. and put it in a nice. It's the strong stuff. It's like a serum almost, but better because it's all natural. It's just oils. And then I thought we haven't really talked more about that since then.
No, we haven't.
But what I have been doing is researching and costing. What would it cost to get the bottle that I want made? What would it cost to get the box that I want it to sit in?
Yeah.
Could we have both the oil as well as the hydrating spray to go with it, sort of thing, which is what I use. I put rose oil and jojoba in the spray, so it's like almost like a watered version. And I thought, damn, we really should do that.
Oh, maybe some of our viewers might have an idea
but it is,
what
maybe
could go into
people signing up on Patreon and we get some monetised stuff. Oh, there we go.
It's Melbourne. No. Our friends in Melbourne.
We might be able to. It takes money to put this stuff together. I'm really happy to do like a limited edition of 50 bottles or 100 bottles or something like that. But just warning. Slight, not a deep dive, but a little surface dive on the costing of it with all the components. And you are talking for an 11ml bottle of this stuff, but you only need one drop. That's the point. You just need 1 or 2 drops, depending on how much hydration you need, after you've sprayed to put it in. And I do it every morning. You don't have to do it morning and night, just every morning. And that's my only skincare regime. And I think our skin's pretty good for 62.
And I know you're very experienced with
my very
essential
first
oils
love
too.
was doing natural therapies and doing aromatherapy in particular. I loved and had a deep passion for, still do to this day. But anyway, just so you know, it would be about anywhere between $350 and $400 a bottle.
Oh.
It's pretty full on.
Well.
Because, why? Because
yes, please.
I would use Rose Otto essential oil in its most purest form. Most people only even buy it like when it is suspended in jojoba oil, so it's only like 1% of a 10ml bottle, and that still costs about $67 retail a bottle. So think about that. It's only 1%.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, no, just to give you a reality check on it, and then why it's so good. But the rose oil, you can see why Cleopatra used it with goat's milk in a bath. It takes 250 rose petals, and rose otto is a very specific rose that they use, a group of roses, to make 1 drop of rose essential oil. 1 drop. 250 petals, think about that. So that's why it's so expensive. But look, I can only speak from experience, and as I said, I don't have any other. I use goat's milk soap to cleanse my face, and I just use the spritzer and my face oil. That's all I've ever used since I was about 16.
Yeah.
I've tried different things over the years now. Oh, and of course the body, which is basically another sort of natural. It's got the jojoba oil and it's got other, but it's got also Australian mica in it, so it gives you that glow, that nice glow. I don't wear foundation or anything like that. I just use this after I've put my rose oil on. I just use the Bang & Body. Now the girls, they've all got the rose hand cream and the rose lip balm. I gave that to them for Christmas, and
I've got the banging body.
And now I know Geraldine just had a birthday, and I said
we had birthday on set.
We did, and that's right. She did open it on the set. So I'm part, and it is a great product too, and you love it too, don't you?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Because you don't have to wear foundation, then you just put it on it.
Essence of being, I love it.
And I thought essence of being. We need to revisit that idea, and I need to really do some proper homework on it. But what we have to do is raise the funds first, because none of us, we live week to week, most of us, artists, paycheck to paycheck, as they say. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're perfectly fine with it. But we would need to raise some funds to buy the ingredients, even at wholesale, quite expensive, to make 50 bottles. Maybe I'll just do 50 to start with, or even 20, I don't know. Whatever we raise, I'll make. So again, we can do that through the Patreon account, or I can maybe start a separate campaign. Maybe through YouTube. I know they've got Buy Me a Coffee. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can call it Essence of Being, Buy Me a Coffee.
Beyond Survival.
Okay, Beyond Survival. Beyond Survival. Really? Rather than Essence of Being?
No, Essence of Being.
Oh, Essence of Being for Beyond Survival, but their little buttons is Buy Me a Coffee.
Oh, okay.
So it's $2 or $3.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Maybe we can activate that for the Essence of Being, and then when there's enough funds there, and I'll be very transparent about it all, so you can all see exactly how much cost, and any profit again that we make from that will go directly into StudioZer0 to help other artists. So we'll be very open.
So Sounds like all of it.
Accounts.
Sounds like all funds will go into the essential oils, actually.
But there will be. The plan is not just to give our viewers that experience and how amazing it is when you use this oil. And most people reject the idea of putting oil on the skin, but with essential oils, and then you what we call carrier oils. With the lighter oils, I use a lot of coconut oil, avocado oil, which are full of polyurethanes. It's really good for you, and it still gets into the bloodstream a little bit. And
I was going to say,
coconut oil.
The mixes that you've done for me are very much about healing of some sort.
Always.
Something. Yeah,
always. And
for me,
but when you put it on your skin, it goes in. It's not like if I sort of vegetable oil, right? That's not going to go into your skin. Of course, it's not. Like I'm talking about like cooking style vegetable oil, but macadamia nut oil that has been cold pressed.
The
jojoba, coconut oil is also, as I said, avocado oil. They're all almond oil. These are all great oils that have been cold pressed from their natural state. Nothing added, nothing taken away. Just press the oil out of it, like they do with olive oil. Same sort of. Whereas essential oils is distilled. It's a steam process to get.
How many different oils would you put into this? What's the
Probably
magic?
about
what's the magic?
five.
I was going to say the magic number is about five.
About five. But the main ingredients will be probably half of it would be the rose oil, and then there would be hints of jasmine, neroli, and
secret ingredients.
Not if people want to go out and make it themselves, they should. But you've got to be really careful also because I don't
quality,
know about in other countries. In our country, you've got therapeutic law, but essential oils can still have a therapeutic number and be laboratory simulated. So they're not actually made from the real nature. So you have to know your stuff so that you know what you're buying, usually from the price. If I can buy, like a bottle, not even a 10ml bottle of pure Rosotto is $360 at the moment, it goes up and down, for Rosotto in its pure form.
Yeah.
It's only, I think it's 9 mils actually, I don't think it's 10 mils, 9 mils. So
sounds good, Kel.
If somebody came to me and said, I've got the best rose oil, and I'll say how much it is, and they say $30, I'll say, see you later, because you know it's going to be laboratory simulated, which has no therapeutic value, is what I'm trying to say. Smells nice, smells good, no harm in burning it in your burner, but essentially...
So you need to be careful with your
You need to be careful with the oils. And also, whenever you're using natural ingredients of any kind of mixing them together, just like anything, you can have allergic reactions to them. That's no different to any other chemical compositions. They're still nature's chemicals, but they're... So you have to know your stuff. So be cautious with it. If you're going to go out there, I'm happy to even supply the recipe.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like it'd be a beautiful...
It's just oil, and if I could share it with the world, I would.
And a beautiful perfume as well.
Oh my God, it smells so good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then I finish it off. We've got a company here called Geraldine, and they use homeopathy approach, naturopathy approach, and essential oil approach, and they grow a lot of their stuff over in South Australia. And I used to work with them for 6 years when I was still studying. And they do cream versions of that, which have the oils in it. So they do this rose hand cream, which is amazing. It's like whenever someone's got eczema or something, they put it on.
The rose cream?
Yeah. It's rose hand body cream.
Mm.
And when I was getting eczema around here, put it on, gone. When Katrina had that infection on her tattoo on the back, nothing worked, and she went to the dermatologist, it didn't work. So I said, you've got your rose hand cream, just put a bit of that on. That's what I do.
She said, I don't know about that.
2 days later, it was better. All the rash was gone, and all the redness was gone. It was calmed down, and that's how quick it works. So that's another famous one that I love to tell people about and use. These. I don't know why we're talking about beauty.
I think we're taking notes because you just gone off. Totally gone off.
You got me talking about oils and natural ways of doing skincare.
We won't be.
I'm a lost soul when it comes to that.
I don't think we'll be titling this the Epstein file.
No.
I think it's.
Well, I don't know. We'll find a title. And I don't know. As in a strange kind of way, we have actually made reference to the counter rhythm of the Epstein files and all that we can see all the connections with that, and it's so humongous and layered, and the people involved is just beyond comprehension. But you know what? It's good. They're all being exposed now, and let us continue to do that. Let's continue to watch that space, but in the meantime, let's practice counter rhythms. So I did say for this season, that's my bed, and I feel, Geraldine, you feel the same, don't you?
Absolutely.
And Steph, you feel the same, don't you?
Yeah.
That all of us should be looking for the counter rhythms all the way.
And as we always say, stay fluid, stay focused, stay free, and
love, and just
and
freaking
breathe.
breathe.
I'm Geraldine. I didn't introduce myself. I'm your host, Geraldine. This is my co-host, Kelli.
You said my name and I've told
Gizmo is out of the building. Stephanie, our producer, is almost out of the building. Although she...
Gizzy's over near the door. Are we going to the park now? Are we ready now?
Yes, we are nearly
poor
going to the park.
darling, after being in darkness with me all night, it freaked him out a little bit. And he's not had that experience before.
Okay.
He, oh my God, he just was, he barked everything. That's why we didn't sleep.
Yeah.
I came downstairs because it was cooler, but he just kept reacting to the slightest of noise because he didn't know what was going on. He didn't understand why. Think about me. I live with a lot of white noise. I like white noise. And I find my peace inside that white noise. And so all of a sudden it was completely...
Quiet.
Not just quiet, but dark.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Completely black. It was the deepest, blackest sky last night.
Oh, even though it was full moon, which is interesting.
No, we didn't get it here. It was just black. I'm walking around with a torch, guys, trying to find my way. I'm rolling around.
Because the eclipse was the night before.
That's probably why I've got a little bit psycho, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, take care of yourself. We'll see you again next week. Next week we probably will have a guest, I think.
We do. We have guests lined up. And until
For the
then...
next 3 weeks, actually 4 weeks. Now, Steph is going off to do her new film, as we said earlier. But she's got to, every now and then, she'll tap in. And she'll send us videos and stuff. And
she's going to be so busy, I don't know.
Those. Actually, she has access to all the accounts, so she can post it herself.
She's not going to have time to scratch herself, so we'll just say bye to Steph for a couple of weeks.
Send it to me and I'll post it for you. Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming to the table, Beyond Survival.
Let us know if you've been brave enough to make these before you've come to the if Tell us what you think of if you're not an Australian, you never had a pavlova, tell us what you think about the pavlova. And also, if you have come to the table and you've already cooked them, also leave comments about.
Yes, please leave us comments. We'd love to hear from you.
How did you do it? How did it work for you?
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, 100%.
So over and out. Thank you for joining us. Have a great
long
week.
Bye.
Love, love, love.
And look at that, Stephanie, 4:52.
Yep, perfect timing.
That we managed.